What's up everyone, back for another vlog, and in today's vlog, I'll be showing you the Shelfie beers that I'll be reviewing for the month of July 2025. So if you're unfamiliar with Shelfie beer reviews, they are reviews of beers that I can easily grab off the shelves here in the Western New York area, more specifically Buffalo, New York. And I try to get a good mixture of beers from some of the bigger regional, national, and international breweries. And I post Shelfie beer reviews every single Tuesday and Friday of each month. And in the month of July, there are 9 Tuesdays and Fridays. Therefore, there are 9 beers here in front of me, and they're in order of how I'm going to post them over the course of the month from your left to right. So this will be the first, and this will be the last. Now, before we go over these real quick, I want to kind of talk briefly about the future of Shelfie beer reviews. Now, I mentioned this, I think, many months ago, but probably within the past 6 months, that it's getting harder and harder to procure beers every single month to do the Shelfie beer reviews. There's a lot of reasons for that. The big one being that the beer industry as a whole is vastly different than it was almost 6 years ago when I first started doing these. And it's really hard and difficult to find specifically singles of beers from pretty much the bigger regional and national breweries. And when it comes to like year-round and core offerings, very hard to find them fresh. So I'm going to, at some point, probably down the line, change up the format of Shelfie beer reviews. Probably won't be until early next year. So I plan on doing these for the next couple months, August and September. And then in October, we do the 10 days of pumpkin. And then in December, we do the holiday themed beer reviews. So I'll probably do these in August, September, and November. And then I'll reassess in January of next year, just because it's very, like, it's tough. It really is tough for me to find these. A lot of beer stores don't carry a lot of the bigger breweries. That the whole reason I started doing this back in late 2019 was so I could kind of review a lot of beers you guys get your hands on. At this point, though, it might not be worth it as much, but we will see. We will see. I'm not saying anything is definite, but we're probably going to have to change up the format at some point starting next year. So anyway, this month's collection of beers here, I'm pretty excited about, mostly because I have 3 imported beers. After not having a international beer last month, this month we have 3, including 2 classics, so I'm pretty pumped about it. So anyway, let's go over these real quick. So, and when I say real quick, it's gonna be like 10 minutes. But anyway, the first beer I have here is another beer from Southern Tier, and this is their Peach Hefeweizen. So unfortunately, and we'll talk about this momentarily, and by talk I mean probably rant, this is an ale with natural flavor. It comes in at 5% alcohol by volume, and by the time I get to this, it'll be just under 3 months old, but they do give a 6-month best by date, so we should be okay. So this is a Peach Hefeweizen from Southern Tier, and this is a part of their small batch series. So I saw this one, I was like, wow, Peach Hefeweizen from Southern Tier. I picked it up, and then I was like, I should always look when it's Southern Tier and some of these bigger regional and national breweries, because it's brewed with natural flavors. Now, I know a lot of you out there feel the same way I do, but when I see natural flavors on any label, I instantly get disappointed because they're not using real ingredients, or if they are, they're just putting natural flavors on there, so they're using natural flavors maybe in addition to real ingredients. Probably saves them some money, and it allows them to kind of be more consistent with the flavor profile. However, in a situation like this peach flavor is going to taste like candied peach. It's going to taste like peach gummy rings or something in that realm, right? Which I like, but I want real peaches in here. So if there are no real peaches in here, I'm already disappointed off the bat. And a lot of times these natural flavors can taste like artificial flavors. Even though they're naturally derived from everything in this world, they still can taste like a chemical-based artificial flavor. Sometimes it's almost like identical, and it's very disappointing. So anyway, I always go into all the reviews with an open mind, but when I see natural flavor on any label, I instantly get disappointed, and I kind of start preparing for what is potentially a worse version of what could be. So anyway, I know a lot of you feel like that out there, so I just want to let you know a couple of these do have natural flavors. It is what it is. The bigger regional national breweries, a lot of them are doing that, and it is very disappointing. I'll just say that. Anyway, so that's the first. The next beer I have is actually the beer I'm going to be reviewing for the 4th of July, aka Independence Day here in the US, and it comes from the Boston Beer Company, aka Samuel Adams, and this is their American Light. So this American Light Lager comes at 4.2% alcohol by volume and 7 IBUs, and at the time of review, it'll be a little bit over 2 months old, but it also has a best by date of October, so it'll be fine. So this is one of their like newer, like I think year-round offerings. I think they released this for the first time last year. It's their take on an American Light Lager. I don't think this is adjuncted. I don't think it has corn or rice or anything in it. They do say all American ingredients. I looked at the website and it did say they just use Pilsner malt. They use a couple different hops. So yeah, they have a spiel. We'll read about it, but you know, it is Samuel Adams, one of the founding fathers of the US, in addition to it being an American Light. So I thought it would be a good 4th of July beer. So that's why I grabbed that. I did pick up the Beers of Summer Variety Pack. I reviewed their blueberry lager last month. Did not like it. I'm reviewing this one this month. And then in August, I'm going to re-review their Summer Ale, which a lot of you said you'd like to see a re-review. So we'll review that. Not going to review the Porch Rocker because I reviewed that a couple months ago, or I mean a couple years ago. The Summer Ale, though, I have not reviewed in like 6 years, so I thought a re-review is in order. We'll see how that beer is. Next, we have somewhat of a pastry stout here. This is from the Duclaw Brewing Company, and this is the Patriarchy Cookies and Cream. So this is what they're calling a white stout, and on the side label, this is where I'll get a little bit more disappointed with the natural flavors, but it says ale with lactose, vanilla, whole roasted coffee beans, and natural flavor. So you have lactose, which I'm not a huge fan of it in beers, but a lot of breweries use it for body, mouthfeel, sweetness. But then you have actual vanilla and whole roasted coffee beans, and you throw natural flavor in it. Again, a lot of these breweries will do that to kind of round out the flavor. I get it. I just would prefer not to see it. I believe, yeah, this is 8% alcohol by volume, and by the time I review this one, it should be somewhere around like 2.5 months old. I picked this one up because, you know, I think I've only reviewed one Patriarchy beer from Duclaw on the channel, and it was their, forget the name of it, but it was like a cinnamon toast crunch, like imperial pastry stout, and it also had edible glitter in it, which was interesting. It had a gold edible glitter, and you could see it in the glass, and it was kind of wild, but it was fun beer. We'll see if this is fun. I like cookies and cream and the Oreo kind of imperial stout. We'll see how it is, but again, natural flavors. Next, we have another beer from the Great Lakes Brewing Company, and this is their Space Walker Hazy Double IPA. So this is a Hazy Double IPA. Comes in at 8% alcohol by volume, 70 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this can is, but it does have a best by date of October 2nd of 2025. By the time we get to this, it'll be just under 3 months from that date. So I think we should be more than good to go. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this one. Now, I picked this one up over their Drum Rally Shandy. A viewer of the channel, Chaz, was actually mentioning that one to me. Reason for that is this is actually the only hop-forward beer that I am reviewing this month for Shelfie Beer Reviews, which is kind of wild because usually at least a couple IPAs. This is the only hop-forward one. So I'm really excited to not only give it a go, but it's been a while since I've had a Great Lakes hop-forward beer. So I said, you know what, let's pick this one up, see how it is, and maybe we'll do the Drum Rally next month or maybe in September if I remember. We'll see. It's just a Shandy. I'm not a huge fan of Shandies. They're all right. Probably better as far as like a seasonal beer goes, obviously, but I wanted to grab this because, again, only hop-forward beer, so I'm really pumped for it. Next, we have the first of the 3 imported beers. This one is from Hofbrauhaus. And of course, they're out of Germany, and this is their Hofbrau Helles Lager. So this is a German Helles Lager that comes in at 4.9% alcohol by volume, and by the time I get to this review, it'll be just under 4 months old, which is actually quite fresh for imported beer here in the US, but also has a best by date of 1 year out. And this is a relatively new offering from Hofbrauhaus. I'll talk about it more in the actual review. Now, what's interesting about this one is Hofbrau has their original, which is a Helles Lager, and I've not reviewed that on the channel. I'll review that at some point for sure, and some of their other offerings as well. But they also have another Helles Lager called Volbeer. The Volbeer one has a very similar label, this one, but however, on Beer Advocate, they had a link to a article I read about this one. This was actually like a tweak. They said a tweak of their original Helles. Original Helles, I think, is 5.1. This is 4.9. But the label looks like that Volbeer. That Volbeer is also 5.1. So we'll see how this one tastes. It is a Helles Lager, and I don't know. I didn't really point it out on the when I put it up there, but you can see it says imported. So it's definitely imported. This isn't brewed in the US or anything. So yeah, I'm very curious about this one. It's a newer offering. They introduced it for the first time this year. We'll see how it compares to their original. But yeah, I thought, hey, give it a go. It's a relatively new beer, and it's imported. And Since I duffed it last month, we're going to do 3 this month, so I'm pretty pumped. So we'll see how that one is. Next, we have somewhat of a polarizing beer here, in my opinion. This is from Victory, and this is their Witty Monkey. So this is a citrus wheat ale, and this is the third beer that'll say this, but it says ale with natural flavors. Comes in at 9.5% alcohol by volume. And what's funny is you would think this is quite fresh because it says best by December 20th of 2025. You're like, wow, that's super fresh. No, they give a 1-year best by date. So this was actually canned on December 20th of 2024. So this is going to be like just under 7 months old, which is kind of crazy. I thought it was a little bit fresher than when I grabbed it, but whatever. So the aforementioned Chas said that this is a horrible beer. He hates it. And then another viewer of the channel, Rain Air Parade, said this was actually pretty good for what it is. I've also seen different varying opinions of this one as well. This is one of those gas station beers. This is a 9.5%. It's citrus wheat ale that it's an ale with natural flavors. It comes in the 19.2 fluid ounce stovepipe cans that you'll see in gas stations and grocery stores and stuff, right? The walk-in coolers. I'm curious about this one. I liked the Blue Moon Extra Belgian White, which was their 8%, basically imperial Belgian style wit beer. This is very similar. It's an imperial, basically wheat beer with citrus flavors. So I hope I like it because I didn't find the Blue Moon one to be that bad. So we'll see how this one is. I'm very curious. These can be hit or miss. The third beer with natural flavor, which is a bummer, but what are you going to do? So we are going to check that one out and see how it is. Now, a beer that I know is very, very good, delicious, one of my favorites within the style is the next beer. And this one is from the Samuel Smith's Old Brewery, and they are out of England over in the UK, and this is the famous Teddy Porter. So this is an English porter. Comes in at... Do they not have the ABV? I want to say it's 5%. Right? Isn't it 5%? Do you think maybe I can't read properly? I'm pretty sure this is 5%. I'll obviously when I do the review, I'll double check. Pretty sure it's 5%. It has to say it somewhere. But whatever. So yeah, this is an English porter. I'm pretty sure it's 5%. And at the time of review, again, you think this would be quite fresh. Has a best by date of December 31st of 2026. However, doing the lock code, which is a Julian date, this one was actually bottled on December 18th of last year. So they give it pretty much a 2-year best by date, which is fine for a beer like this. It'll be around 7 months old, but I've had this beer like 3 or 4 months old. I've had this beer over a year old, and it's always good because it's a fucking classic. It's just an awesome beer, and I can't believe I haven't reviewed this one. I was looking for an English beer to review, and I'm like, wow, I didn't review Teddy Porter? What the fuck is wrong with me? So we're rectifying that this month, and spoilers, it's delicious, and it should be delicious. Next, we have a beer from a brewery I haven't reviewed a bunch of stuff from in the last couple years, but in the early goings of the channel, I was really into them, and we saw a lot of their stuff. We don't see them much anymore. This is from the Westbrook Brewing Company out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and this is their Whipped Pineapple Goza. So this is a sour wheat ale brewed with spices and with, wait for it, natural flavors added. Even the smaller, they're a bigger regional brewery, but yeah, anyway, so it comes in at 4% alcohol by volume, and at the time of review, this one will be a little over 2 months old, maybe like close to 2.5 months old. So in the when it comes to Westbrook, their original Goza was very, very popular among the traders and the beer nerds back in like the early to mid 2010s. We got Westbrook here, and I'd have people hit me up all the time, be like, oh, you can get Westbrook's Goza? I'd love a case of it. It's like, whoa, time out, a case of it? Settle down. But I did trade back then some Westbrook Goza because, talking 10 to 15 years ago, Gozas were not a popular style in the U.S. at all. They started to come back. I shouldn't say come back. They started being really introduced here in the U.S. And the Westbrook Goza was one of the top tier ones everyone loved. Then they introduced the Key Lime Pie Goza. They had a Lemon Cucumber one and a bunch of other ones over the years. I reviewed a bunch on the channel. I have not reviewed the base Goza, so I need to find a fresh can of that, a relatively fresh can, and give it a go. But I did see this one. It's like Whipped Pineapple Goza, sure, great for these summer months. I'll give it a go. So I'm going to give that one a go. We'll see how it is, but it is Westbrook. It's a Goza. I'm sure it's going to be pretty good to some degree. The final beer here is another classic. This is a Belgian classic. This is from Chimay, and this is their 5 Cents, also known as Chimay White. So this is a Belgian tripel that comes in at 8% alcohol by volume. At the time of review, this is where I'm going to need your help. So if you watch here to the end, let me know if you can decipher what's going on here. But the lot code on this is L24-442, L24-442. Now, with my puny brain, I'm thinking L24, lot stands for 2024, right? Lot 2024. So this was probably bottled into 2024. 442, I'm thinking Julian date, 365 days in a year. Well, there aren't 442 days in a year. So I don't know what the 442 means. So if you can decipher that code, please let me know in the comment section so I know when I review this one how old it is. I also am pretty sure that is a bottled on date, not a best before by date. However, I'm not confident. So if this is a best before by date, we're definitely over it. A beer like this can age. It's not going to be a huge issue. However, I prefer it to be a little bit fresher. I'd rather have it somewhere around 6 to 7 months old to like a year and a half old, as opposed to being potentially 3 to 5 years old. So if you know about this one, please let me know. Like I said, this is a absolute classic. I have reviewed the red and the blue on the channel back in the day. So now we're doing the white, and I'm looking forward to it. So a longer vlog here, but, talking about the future of them. And I'll just be honest with you, when it comes to Shelfie beer reviews, I want to keep these going. I do. However, if I spent on average here, say $4 a can or bottle, some were more expensive. I think the Chimay was like $5 or $6. Some of the imported ones a little bit more expensive. However, let's say with these 9 beers on average, I spent $35 to $40. That's doable for me doing a Shelfie beer review, whatever you want to call it, series, right? However, if I had to start buying entire 4 and 6 packs of all these beers, now you're talking about, triple the price. I'm not going to review 8 or 9 beers a month and spend $80 to $120 to do so. Just is not going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. So we'll see if I can maybe find some other beer stores, or maybe figure out a way to continue this next year. I was also thinking, and again, if this sounds interesting to you, maybe maybe pick up like 4 of these beers, and then pick up an entire variety pack and review all 4 of those from one brewery and split them like one per week. So like every other day, let's say I pick up a Trogs mix pack or a Victory mix pack, and I review each one of those beers, all 4 of them, but I do them every week. So once a week I would review one of them, and then the other beers would be, again, Shelfie beers. I might be able to work something like that in to keep the cost down, but also still have variety on the channel. So anyway, if you have any ideas for, Shelfie beer reviews starting next year, let me know. For the most part, we'll keep it going for the rest of this year, and we'll see where we end up. But I've been keeping this series going for almost 6 years. It's been on and off with the channel hiatus here and there, but I've done a lot of months of Shelfie beer reviews. So if it has to go to the wayside, or we have to switch up the format, it is what it is. I apologize for the longer vlog, but you guys know I like talking, and I wanted to talk about the future of Shelfie beer reviews. So like I said, if you have any ideas or you have any comments about it, post in the comment section. And also at the end of these, I'd like to ask you guys, hey, what are you looking forward the most? I would be lying to you as far as the reviews go. These 3 beers, imported beers, 2 classics, a brand new one. I'm curious about the beers with natural flavors. Obviously, the Sam Adams American Light, I've heard some people really enjoy this one, and people be like, no, that's not it. We'll see. But yeah, the imported ones are really at the top of my list, because these 2 are classics, and then you got a new release from Hofbrau. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Appreciate each and every one of you checking out another vlog here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.